Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is the first full day to the people of Syria when they can say they do not have a dictator in power. After nearly 50 years of the dictatorship of the Assads, today is the day they can say with confidence that there's no more Assad. It is a thrilling day to any nation. There is no doubt about it. And the people of Syria are right to celebrate. But also at the back of their minds, they must be thinking, are we going to do what other nations have done? Many other nations have done. Replace one dictator with another. I think the danger of that happening is real. And the people of Syria must take it very seriously. Because if you do not define which direction the country is going now at its formative stage, you're in trouble. Benjamin, welcome to the program.
Good day to you. Thank you for having me on the program, and good day to our viewers. It's a very beautiful day, I believe, for the Syrians. But before I go into that, I would like to say, detectors, be warned. This is the outcome. You can push so far, but one day you will be pushed out as well. And unfortunately, for each and every one of the detectors that we have seen or we have heard of, they have run away from their livelihoods, their homes, they have left everything in half. It's a friendly advice. Stop what you are doing and make it right with the people, because the people will fight back eventually. Back to Syria, like you said, it's been a very, very long time under this family that has actually taken a country and made it their own, you know, which is very, very unfair. So I believe it's a happy mood all around in Syria at the moment. But within that happiness, you asked a very, very good question. Are they going to find the best foot forward? That is that is a very, very good question. And one that, I hope that each Syrian actually thinks about, before making, this big move. Of course, removing, an oppressor is a big move, but you do not want to make the mistake and put back another guy that could even turn out to be worse than everything you have done, you have lost. So it's something that they really, really have to think about going forward. Yes, let's make, but let's think about that fundamental question: what is our next step going forward?
Well, I couldn't agree with you there more because this is a serious point. I think in our case in Zimbabwe, we all remember very well 17 November 2017. Somebody has since christened it National Zungu Day, when the people of Zimbabwe poured out on the streets to celebrate the, the ouster of Robert Mugabe. Make no mistake about it, Robert Mugabe was a dictator, and he deserved to go. But what people should have thought about on that day is, particularly in the case of Zimbabwe, these people who have staged the coup, they are actually the same people who had kept Robert Mugabe in power for 37 years. They are the ones who had staged, for instance, the electoral coup in 2008 to stop MDC getting into power. And yet, now that they'd fallen out with their fellow dictator, they staged a coup against him, and the people joined in to celebrate. That was a big mistake. It was Zungu Day. And the fear that it could happen in Syria is there. Because one of the other problems, while, yes, the incoming administration had nothing to do with Syria's regime, nonetheless, people cannot deny that after 50 years of tyrannical rule, there is a lot of mistrust among the Syrian peoples themselves. Each one that wants to get into power, and those who are in power, the temptation to become the next dictator can be overwhelming, as we well know in the case of ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF was so desperate to get into power, and they wanted absolute power. 1980, while people celebrated, thinking that this was the end or new dawn, it turned out to be a nightmare. We in Zimbabwe don't seem to learn. I think that is one of the biggest problems that we really must address, in my view.
You know, the sad part about Zimbabwe, you know, with the amount of opportunities that they have had to fix their country or to return their country into a democratic nation are countless. But you know, you look at what has caused Zimbabwe not to find its footing ever since, you know, time immemorial. I believe it's greed. And secondly, I actually think it is us, the people who are so naive and so gullible. I mean, look, a guy like Mnangagwa could persuade or could hoodwink the most learned, the intellectuals into believing, you know, is cover up for a coup. To say, you know, Zimbabwe is open for business and so forth. is going to fix everything. And people believed that. That was one of our grave mistakes. And I hope that the people of Syria will also realize that, not all that glitters is gold. Yes, you are happy that 50-year oppressor is gone. Don't go and start with somebody that will start from 1 year going on, like what Zimbabwe did. They replaced Mugabe with his second in command, and here we are, worse off than we were in the first place. For me, that level of naivety, is what will determine whether Syria will make the best, foot forward. Then obviously, you have the candidates. Unfortunately, Zimbabwe has not been, the candidates or the opposition have not been truthful or, competent enough. The reason why the coup became a success was because the opposition supported it. I think, they were promised that you will be part and parcel of government, and with that, they managed to try and legalize the process. We all know Shangri was sick in South Africa, but the moment this thing happened, he was already in Harare. He left hospital, RHT, refused the hospital treatment, all the way wanting to go and have a piece of, of the pie. Everybody was marching. The opposition was happy, replacing a dictator with another. That there just shows that when you are now choosing your candidate, your best foot forward again, you need to make sure you get the right replacement. That is a fundamental must have. Otherwise, you end up like Zimbabwe, one dictator for the other. And you would have not done anything, because this one is going to come and tighten it so hard. And we as Zimbabweans are feeling it. Some people will even say Robert Mugabe was better. But he wasn't no better. He was an evil character. We just went and got another evil character. Two wrongs will never make a right. So I urge the Syrians to think carefully and, take time, exercise wisdom. And I believe if they do that, they will find a footing going forward.
Well, one can only hope so, because I think in the case of Zimbabwe, we have had in the last 44 years many opportunities to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship, but we have failed to achieve that for the same reason that we have not been careful enough to think through what is it we want. Right now, the country has an opportunity coming up in 2028. We can end this ZANU-PF dictatorship. I've said here on this platform and many others that we are not going to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship by forcing the ZANU-PF to implement reforms. Because at the moment, we do not have the political muscle. We had the political muscle during the GNU and we wasted it. So ZANU-PF will never implement reforms and reform itself out of office. Accept that, then you've also got to accept that, so the elections will go ahead without any meaningful reforms implemented. We can stop participating in flawed elections that are so flawed that the only meaningful thing to do is not to participate. Why we keep on participating, particularly the opposition, is they're doing it out of greed. That point cannot be denied. MDC-CCC leaders failed to implement even one token reform during the GNU because of greed. And they've been participating in these flawed elections for the same reason, greed. Why some Zimbabweans cannot accept that reality beggars belief. And yet it is true. So what is the only way to end this ZANU-PF dictatorship? We have got to persuade, particularly those Chamisa Chete brigade, who are easily conned into participating in these flawed elections when they've been told countless of times that if you participate, you give ZANU-PF political legitimacy. That point cannot be overemphasized. And yet we know that as much as Chamisa had no problem calling those people to participate last year, he didn't have any problem calling them to participate in 2018. We can be rest assured that he'll call them to participate in 2028. Our only hope is that we can persuade enough of those brain dead Chamisa Chete supporters. They are brain dead. Let's not beat about the bush. Let's call a spade a spade. If somebody can be conned into believing that Chamisa has plugged all the vote rigging loopholes, when they can see with their own eyes that he has not done so, what is the other explanation other than that you are brain dead? So the challenge is we must stop these Chamisa Chete brain dead individuals participating in 2028 in their millions. That is our only hope. That message must be hammered home again and again and again. I don't know how else we can hammer this message home, Ben.
I mean, it comes a time where, for example, we are going into the 2028 elections. We will continue to say, this message. But now it is up to individuals to choose what they think is best. At the end of the day, what makes us human is our ability to think and to see and compromise, make changes. We cannot be like wildebeest, where whoever is in front, we follow blindly. If he goes and he plunges into the Mara River, we are all going to do the same. We cannot do that. I mean, we can talk about so much evidence before the 2023 elections. We've talked about that there so many times. The absence of a voter's roll, a verified voter's roll, the delimitation exercise. People knew this. We cannot continue to saying the same thing over and over again. And if you believe that you can win rigged elections, and you cannot see that we've been doing the same thing for the past 44 years and 24 with MDC-CCC, and nothing has changed, then you know, it becomes a lost cause for those that are trying to help us find a way. This is where you find, you know, other countries have since given up. The international community has since given up because they've given us solutions time and time again. But I don't know. Like you say, our level of naivety is incredible. It's astonishing that, you know, everybody around us seems to be just saying, well, I think they rather wallow in the mud. They enjoy the dirt. Let's leave Zimbabwe to Zimbabwe. They are a lost cause, you know, because we cannot seem to think for ourselves. We cannot stand to be corrected. You know, mistakes have been made. Let's make amends. This is what, you know, everybody around us is waiting for. Let us make amends. Now, I'll let you in on a secret. You know, before the 2023 elections, a couple of years before that, Chamisa and them were all on record saying no reforms, no elections. But as the day grew closer, that eagerness and that love for power and money was so much, they just couldn't resist standing, you know, firm on their resolve. They backed up and they went and participated anyway. And here we are. So if the people cannot see this, you know, I believe, you know, at the end of the day, everybody has a choice. And if you choose to stay in the mud and wallow in the, hey, choice is yours. You make a bed of thorns, lie in it. Zimbabwe decides to make that bed of thorns, they will lie in it.
Well, here is Chamisa talking about the V11, insisting that he had them, when in fact he was lying.
We reject this sham result and flawed process based on the disputed figures. We have our V11s. I'd asked our teams to bring those V11s. I'm not so sure if they're here so that you would see them. We have brought V11s from across the whole country, and those V11s are going to be the basis of our assertion. We have won this election.
Of course, Chamisa was lying, and he has been lying all along. Here is another instance where Chamisa was taken to task over his lying.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza naye vakomana, mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza naye vakomana, mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election, $15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Kasangana na Trump akatibvunza naye vakomana, mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Well, no, because there is a video which shows.
Well, the truth of the matter is Chamisa was lying. And what is so disappointing is that there are millions of Zimbabweans there who were conned by that lie. And they are refusing to accept that Chamisa lied. This is how we have managed to compound our own problem. Chamisa lied. And he is going to lie to the same people to con them to participate in 2028. And if they do so, they will perpetuate the dictatorship. That is the reality. Stopping this ZANU-PF dictatorship is within our own power. The only problem that is holding us back is our failure to realize our own power. to change things. Thank you very much, Benjamin. And for the listeners who were able to join us tonight, thank you very much for joining us. We invite you to send your comments, and if you would like to join in the discussion, you're welcome. Let me know on the comment section, and we'll send you a link so that you can join in. I think this discussion of how to stop ZANU-PF rigging 2028 and perpetuating the dictatorship is the #1 issue for the people of Zimbabwe. We cannot afford to have another rigged election and perpetuate the ZANU-PF dictatorship. That is the message I would like to leave with you. And I would like people of Zimbabwe to keep at the back of their minds between now and 2028, because we can stop this. This is madness. We can stop it. As for the people of Syria, I pray that they find each other and they end this suffering that has been inflicted on that nation for the last 50 years. And they quickly get over it and join the commune of nations living in peace and prosperity. Thank you very much, Benjamin, and to everybody, good night.
Thank you. Good night.